Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. It's getting to be sort of fall. It's October 1st when I'm filming this, so the weather's starting to turn a little bit where I live, and that makes me think about fall sorts of things like leaves. And I thought maybe I would revisit some themes from the past. I've done a maple leaf or two pendant before, and I think I'm going to do another one today. This one will be different. This one is going to be a mixture of copper, silver, and brass. And it's going to have three hanging pieces all working together. The back's going to be a disc out of copper 18 gauge sheet. On top of that, I'm going to try and do kind of a framework of a relatively large maple leaf, just the veining parts of it, out of silver wire. And then I'm going to do a sawed out brass sheet leaf that's a little bit smaller than both, that hangs in front of them both. So we'll see how that turns out. Before we get started, I need to thank some people. First, I'd like to thank my patrons over on Patreon. They are my core group of supporters. I could not do this without their support, and I do really appreciate the nice community that they've built over there in addition to their financial help. So thanks for that, you guys. You are awesome. The other group are my YouTube subscribers. We're approaching 23,900, which is amazing. By the time this video is published, it should be about that. I don't know what to say about numbers like that. That's amazing to me, and I can't believe that that many people follow me. So thanks for that. Thank you for the lovely comments. And I really do appreciate the financial help with the Buy Me a Coffees, the super thanks, people who buy my merch on my merch store, or my ebooks. So that stuff really helps to make my channel stay sustainable. So thank you for that. All right, well, let's see if we can do this leaf pendant today. So this is one of my design idea sketchbooks that are available on my merch store. This particular one has a gauge to inches to millimeters conversion chart on the back, which I use pretty frequently. Some of the others have different charts with various metalsmithing related information on it. But what I really like about them are the places where I can sketch out designs, and it includes a dot matrix in the background that gives me some ability to keep things sort of symmetrical, which is probably not in my natural abilities. And it allows me to keep a record of the projects I've made. So I've filled up a few of these now, and it's nice to be able to go back and see what I made. So in case I want to, recreate the piece or do something similar to it, it helps me to find out pretty easily how I did it, because I can't remember everything anymore. So this is today's project, and my thoughts are I was going to cut a disc out of 18 gauge copper sheet to give it kind of a backdrop, and then in front of that I'm going to hang a wire leaf that looks sort of mapley. And I'm going to make it out of 16 gauge round wire, which is 1.3 millimeters. And oh, I didn't write 1.6. No, I did 1.3. And then 18 gauge wire and some of the various other ones. The stems will just be the 16. I don't know, maybe just the middle one. We'll have to see how it looks. But alright, so that'll be the middle leaf, and then finally I'm going to cut one out of brass sheet. I actually put a little texture on it with my rolling mill just to give it kind of a naturey sort of feel. We'll saw that out after we make a little, we'll trace this with some thin paper and paste it on here, and then we'll just saw it out. I'll probably solder on I don't know, maybe a silver stem or a brass stem, I'm not sure which. I'll think about that, and then at the end we'll figure that out. I'm going to curve that into a loop, and then we'll hang that from the same loop that goes through all three things. So we'll put a loop at the top of this one, a loop at the top of this one, and I think I'm going to drill a hole through that and run a loop going this way out of 16 gauge round or something. And that'll be our bail. So it should be pretty simple. It may take a little time to assemble this leaf. But I made some 16 gauge wire out of some 14 because I was out of 16, so that's pickling, and we'll get that out in a minute and we'll start making a stem. Well, we'll see. I think we'll make the structure of it, and then we'll do the outer part. We'll see how that goes. I think last time I did a leaf I did it the other way. I did the outer part and then the inner part. We'll see. I don't remember, honestly. Let's fish that 16 gauge out though and get started. So, oh, before we do, I use primarily hard silver sheet solder. I may use some other stuff depending upon what my needs are during this particular project. I use a liquid flux that I dribble on with a dropper bottle. Oftentimes people tell me that they have these and they get clogged. If they get clogged, you can just run a piece of thin wire down them and poke out whatever is dried up in there. Or you can run them in some really hot water, and that usually dissolves any kind of flux that's in there. So, pretty easy to clean. My torch is a Silversmith model. It's their acetylene air torch. It draws in atmospheric air through here to mix with the gas. And that produces a nice hot flame that's much hotter than a propane or a butane torch, but not nearly as hot as an oxyacetylene, because you really don't need that much for silver most of the time. And I find it's a really good torch, and I use a #1 tip. Okay, well, let's find that 16 gauge and get started making a leaf. I always thought fall was kind of a nice time of the year. The leaves are pretty, and the temperature is kind of not extreme either way, so it's kind of nice. It feels like autumn is like kind of a liminal space of the seasons, you know. So let's cut this a little bit longer than I need, because I don't know how big a loop I'm going to make. But I'd like to just make it out of the stem itself. So let's go about to there. Should we taper this a little bit, maybe? If you like, oh, I was going to give you a link to that previous maple leaf piece I did. I'll put a link to that one up there. Another one I really liked that I did in the autumn one time was this kind of keepsake holder acorn, sterling silver acorn, and that one will be right there for you if you like that kind of thing. I thought that was a really cool piece, and it didn't get a lot of traffic because YouTube didn't really promote that one, even though I thought it was pretty cool. My wife snagged it, so I think she must have liked it too. She always takes the prettiest stuff. Let me give it just a little bit of wave, just so it has a little bit of naturalness to it instead of just looking perfect. Not that my drawing is perfect for sure, but okay. I think let's at least make the two main leaf stems coming off of there out of 16 as well. So let's find a couple. Let's get a couple pieces of that. I don't have to get these perfect. I can just snip them off when after I have them soldered on. So I want them to have a little bit of an angle to attach to that stem this way. One way you can prevent these things from rolling around a little bit is if you turn part of it sideways so it just can't roll. If you have it too straight, it'll roll around, and when you have your filed flat edge you're trying to put up against there, it may be hard to get it to stay in place, at least from my experience. It needs a little bit steeper angle. That'll work pretty good. Where's that other one that I just had? So I'm going to solder them both right there where that that marker mark is. Marky mark. So I do pick soldering, which is really useful sometimes. If you're interested in learning how to do that, I have a video about it up there. Pick up a little piece of solder and place it pretty precisely. This is the kind of thing that it really comes in handy for. So once you get things up to the soldering temperature, you can just move it in there. As long as you get both pieces right there to the right temperature, It'll stick to them. My tendency is to move in a little bit too soon because I get impatient. But if you hit it just right, it just jumps right off of there. Okay, let's cool that off. Let's start soldering on some 18 gauge wires. Maybe we can do this one all the way up to the top there. Let's try that. And then this one, let's change that so it goes right up to the top of that one. Yes. That makes sense to me. Supposing I can find where I set my pencil. There it is. More. So we'll solder two pieces like that. You find some 18. Okay, so we need a piece of that one. Should work for that side too. Needs a little steeper angle than that. That's better. Let's get those ones soldered on. Still have plenty of solder there. I want to make sure I have some small enough pieces. I don't want to have really big chunks of solder on the ends of each of these. So let's do a few that are a little lot. Let's do a few that are a little on the smaller side. This one curves in a little bit here, starts curving seriously that way there. So So I had to deal with this kind of a thing. Well, let's file this so it kind of matches. Good enough. We're going to file a little notch part way through the wire so we can bend it sharply there. So we'll do that next. Make it a little right about there. I'm going to make sure to solder all these little ones close too. So by doing that, we made the wire really flimsy in those spots. I think we should go ahead and do the ones that connect the upper little leaf thing next. These ones right here. That makes the most sense. Then we can just fill in the little tendrils, kind of. So I'm going to go ahead and solder the two filed parts shut. I'm going to solder it there, and then I'm going to shape this a little better so it matches how I'm thinking it should look. think let's do the same thing on this side that we did on this side. Just solder the first part here and the individual cuts that I made so they're solid. And then we'll figure out how to attach the last one correctly. So my feeling is if I left it on top, it may have shifted and gotten into the solder over here and then attached. So by putting it underneath, I'm less likely to. At least I think I will be less likely to. I guess we'll find out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add one going up here, one going up here, one going up here, and one going up here. Same way on this side. So I got about 8 more of these little ones to solder in. And I may put another one up here, just for good measure, but we'll see. So I'm not going to make you watch me do the same thing I've been doing over and over again, but I'm going to go ahead and get those soldered in, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished this up. I actually added a little bit to the end here. It seemed a little stumpy, so I kind of improvised and made a little thing to make it look more like a leaf to me. I don't know, we'll see when it all polishes up. And the other thing I did was I took the stem and I wrapped it around I think I just used my round nose pliers and soldered it to itself. And then I got my disc cut out and drilled a hole through it so this can hang there. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to make a stencil out of this by tracing it. And I think we'll just super glue it on there, and then we'll use the saw and see if we can get some good detail on there. We'll see. Sawing isn't my strongest suit, so it'll be a good practice piece for me. So I feel like it'd be better to go with the grain in this kind of thing. See how that looks. I don't even know if it's going to add much, but we'll see. Let that sit for a minute or two. See how my sawing skills are tonight. Oops. Thought that was coming. Yeah, that's pretty good for me. Sawing has never been my strongest suit, but I'm getting better at it. Part of the big deal for me was getting a better saw. So if you have a cheap saw, consider getting one of these kind, or there's a couple of other really high-end ones that are really nice. And it really makes a difference for me anyway. Thought it might be nice to kind of dap this a little bit so it's got a slight curve to it. I don't want much of one, just a little bit of one. So I think now, I could solder it just to the bottom, but I think I'd like it to kind of go along the back. So I don't know why I want that, but that's what I want. I'm not sure whether that's going to be cool or not cool. I guess let's just make it and see. So I'm going to solder this loop together here. And I'm going to let things pickle. I'm going to use a ring made out of 16 gauge silver. In order to polish these better, I'm going to not solder that ring closed. I'm just going to use it as the bail, but I'm going to close it up tight and then not solder it. That way everything can be polished and I can just piece it together. You could also do it soldered shut if you wanted to, but I was trying to keep things easy on this one. I didn't do a very good job of soldering it. I got a lot of excess solder in there I'm going to have to clean up. So, oh well, sometimes that happens. So I'm going to let all this stuff pickle up. This I don't need to, but these two I will. Somebody's going to ask me if I have problems pickling with brass and copper in the same pickle, and I really haven't. I know some people say that they have problems with it, but I just know that there's going to be a slight copper plating on brass when I pull it out, and so I just come prepared to polish that off. I'll be back in a little bit and we can see what the final product looks like in a minute. Okay, I got everything cleaned up and attached. You can see there's the brass piece with a little bit of a curvature to it, with the silver one on top of the copper. So I'm not sure if the brass one is a distraction or if it adds. So you tell me in the comments if you think that it's good that way or if I should just leave off the brass one. Or maybe make them interchangeable by making the stem on this one a little bit longer. I thought about that, so you could swap it out. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. You fashion experts, tell me whether you think that's cool or not. I kind of like it, but we'll see as it tones over time. It'll kind of, I think the silver will stand out from the copper a little bit more, and that might be interesting, so we'll see. Alright, I'll get some better pictures and put them at the end. Okay, well that was the 3-layer maple leaf pendant. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. And I would love it if you take a moment and head over to my main channel page on YouTube here. I have 540-ish videos now. I do 3 per week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and one on Saturday. So there's a fresh and large amount of content coming out regularly. Check out a few of the videos over there. There's almost certainly some other useful stuff for you or something you might find interesting. So I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. It costs nothing and it helps me out a great deal, so I'd love it if you'd do that. The other thing is check out the video description down below. There's some important links there. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about the various tiers of that. The lowest tier being where you just get rid of the YouTube ads, so that's kind of nice if you find those annoying. It also helps me out. The other tiers involve some other perks like live streams and exclusive videos. I just published an exclusive tutorial on there today for them. So there's almost one of those every week over there. So check those out. I'd love to have you join that community as well. There's a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks or some other merch that I have there. There's a number of cool things there. So I do really find those notebooks useful in keeping track of what I've done and what I should do. So get yourself some of those. And finally, there's a link to my ebook, my latest one, 2024's tutorial guide. It has a page for each of the tutorials I did in 2024, and with a link to the video as well as information about the tutorial outside of what's provided there. So there's a picture of my sketch, there's a picture of the final piece, a list of materials you need to create that piece, a difficulty rating that's a little bit subjective on my part, I suppose. And then notes I made about the piece, like would I do it again, or did I think it was a success or not, or did I learn something about some process while I was doing it, as I often do. It's got a lot of useful information, and I think it's a great way to have a whole bunch of projects at your fingertips and a super nice way to support my channel. So thanks if you get that. Alright, well thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.